A first look at the Huanggang Port area of the Huanggang Port building. Government tightens money borrowing measures for low-income earners. And the bulk of migrants returns to Morocco after crossing into Spain's Ceuta in North Africa. Good evening. Welcome to TVB News. The Huanggang Port area of the new Huanggang Port building opens to the media for the first time. Secretary for Security Chris Tung says he is confident that the existing inbound and outbound vehicle lanes can handle the demand, and reiterates testing and drills will be carried out before deciding on an opening date.
Private cars with permits and cross-border coaches can head towards Shenzhen via the new Shenzhen Road from Lok Ma Chau across the Shenzhen River, and arrive at the new Huanggang Port building for co-location clearance. Passengers on public transport and cross-border coaches will get off at the public transport interchange on the second floor to go through exit procedures, with multiple coach parking bays available. They can then take the escalator up to the fifth floor for departure clearance. After the Hong Kong government took over the ports area on Friday, the Immigration Department has set up multiple e-gates in the departure hall that adopts the collaborative inspection and joint clearance model. Travelers will only need to present their documents once to complete both exit and entry formalities. The vehicle departure facilities on the first floor of the new building are also opened for the first time. There are 26 inspection booths for private cars and cross-border coaches. That is 6 more lanes than before. The system simultaneously handles Hong Kong and Shenzhen immigration, customs, and quarantine checks. As for now, the two sides are still separated by rolling shutters. Although private car passengers will still need to get out of their vehicles for clearance, they can complete all formalities on the same floor.
What we need to do is, first of all, we have to make sure all the installation is okay, all the signal is okay, and we have at least 100 different types of exercise before we consider the opening of the port area. I think we have, finally, we will have a few large-scale cross-boundary joint exercise with the Shenzhen side, involving at least over 10,000 participants. When we consider that the operation is smooth, safe, and then we will jointly with the Shenzhen side to consider when to open.
The Huanggang Port will continue to adopt a 24-hour clearance mode once it's in operation. The passenger flow for clearance is expected to increase to as much as 30,000 people per day once the MTR Northern Link spur line opens in 2034. Rachel Ng, TVB News.
The first phase of the government's measures to tighten borrowing regulations for low-income individuals, including foreign domestic helpers, takes effect today. A foreign domestic helper agency believes that this will reduce excessive borrowing among helpers, while some finance companies have already suspended lending to foreign domestic helpers. Samantha Lowe has more.
Leaving their home country to work, domestic helpers may sometimes face financial difficulties. This helper says she has paid back around $2,500 for 4 to 5 months previously. She does not need to borrow anymore. Another domestic helper shares she has heard about fellow helpers getting into trouble after borrowing money. One time, the bank sent a letter to the borrower's employer, causing the employer to end the contract with her. The government has earlier amended the measures to regulate moneylenders to be implemented in 2 phases. The first phase includes prohibiting moneylenders from requiring borrowers to provide referees. A 2-tier debt-to-income ratio system has also been introduced, with caps set at 35% and 40% respectively. Taking foreign domestic helpers as an example, if they are paid the minimum wage, their monthly loan repayment must not exceed $1,785. A foreign domestic helper agency says the new measures will make it harder for helpers to obtain large loans, which can reduce related disputes. He says employers are very concerned about their domestic helpers borrowing money, as they worry it will lead to disturbances to their families. If any problems arise, they tend to blame the employment agencies. For employers, knowing the new policy is in place also gives them some peace of mind, as they are aware their helpers will now find it harder to obtain loans. A financing industry insider says currently more than 30 finance companies lend to foreign domestic helpers, of which over 20 are small to medium-sized. With recent increases in default rates, some have already suspended lending to foreign domestic helpers. He says there have been cases where foreign domestic helpers suddenly came to borrow money recently, but left Hong Kong promptly to avoid repaying the money. A major lender withdrew from the foreign domestic helper lending markets about a month and a half ago. The Financial Services and Treasury Bureau said it has maintained close communication with the money lending industry and has provided lenders with guidelines to ensure smooth implementation of the new measures. Samantha Low, TVB News.
Police arrest 57 people on suspicion of conducting illegal debt collection activities across Hong Kong. The force also raided a vice establishment, a drug den, and 3 illegal gambling sites. Mimosa Ngai reports.
The police seized a wide array of evidence during its July operation, including $40,000 worth of cash, meth bombs, and sets of mahjong. Through CCTV and intelligence, the police targeted an illegal debt collection syndicate. Investigation shows the syndicate hired teenagers who wished to make a fast buck to carry out illegal debt collection. As a reward, the teens received cash ranging from $500 to $800. The debt collection methods often involve threatening and splashing red paint on doors. In mid-July, the police intercepted a 14-year-old boy in Sau Mau Ping and found him carrying a bottle of red paint and brass knuckles. After investigation, authorities caught another 4 people of the syndicate, including 2 core members aged between 15 and 18. Apart from debt collection, the police says the syndicate operated 5 other illegal establishments, such as gambling sites and a drug den, as their main income source, generating a monthly profit of $1 million. The force urges parents to take more notice of their children's daily routines and spending habits to avoid them being used by syndicate members for illegal activities. Mimosa Ngai, TVB News.
Tens of thousands of migrants who cross into Spain's tiny Ceuta territory returned voluntarily to Morocco Friday, a day after the influx triggered chaos in the North African city and reignited the immigration debate in Europe and beyond. At least 67 migrants died on the journey as Ceuta's president puts on the number of migrants arriving in the territory at 60,000, equivalent to 70% of the territory's population. Tracy Furness has more.
Spain's military out patrolling the streets of Ceuta overnight after a massive influx of migrants from Morocco poured into the tiny Spanish territory Thursday. By Saturday morning, several groups of Moroccans were having second thoughts and leaving. Moroccan security forces gathered at the border with Ceuta. Some were seen escorting young people who had been stopped entering the Spanish territory. In Rabat, Morocco, young people share mixed feelings on migration to Europe. Malak, a 19-year-old graduate student, says, if I ever decide to go, I would rather travel with my documents and through legal channels. I am not very keen on the idea of emigrating because my family is here and I want to stay close to them. Professor and sociologist Mohsin Benzakour says, those who left and migrated are not only unemployed people, many of them come from the middle class as well. Another analyst says this is a tricky moment for Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez.
This is a particularly tricky moment for Pedro Sanchez because he has made such an effort to sort of make the other case for migration, that it can be economically positive, and has sought to regularize approximately 500,000 migrants. Now, he's received over 1 million applications to be regularized in Spain, which has caused, as you can imagine, quite a debate on migration. And I think this is being really spread by the right in Spain, who would rather have, and not just Spain, but across Europe and across the world, we've seen Elon Musk joining in this debate, who would rather that Sanchez has to fight the next general election on migration rather than the economy, which has gone rather well.
Tracy Furness, TVB News.
And still ahead, strikes in Gaza continue despite potential disarmament pact between Israel and Hamas. FIFA's president scraps plans to bring in private investors. And the city welcomes Sports Day with 2-day complimentary access to sports and recreational facilities. Welcome back. Hamas has confirmed it will disarm in a potential breakthrough for ending the war in Gaza, but major obstacles remain. This as US President Donald Trump claims that the Iran war helped drive Hamas to disarmament agreement. The 15-member Transitional Palestinian Technocratic Committee for administrating the Gaza Strip affirms its full readiness to assume its responsibilities in the enclave following a reported Hamas disarmament pact. Israel did not immediately respond. Tracy Furness has more.
An explosion in Nuseirat, central Gaza, sends people running for safety. 10 people were injured, one critically, in the Israeli airstrike Friday night, which targeted a building and completely destroyed it. Israeli strikes continue across Gaza, despite a fragile ceasefire between Hamas and Israel was put in place last October. Speaking during a cabinet meeting, US President Donald Trump says the newly minted agreement aimed at leading to disarmament of the Palestinian group Hamas and Israel's withdrawal from Gaza and transition to an oversight of the territory to a civilian body has its ups and downs.
We do have an understanding with Israel. Israel is very happy about it. Israel helped us, and they've been very good. They've been very good about it. Most people said that would be a deal that would be undoable. Now, will it go through its ups and downs? It's a very complex situation over there. The people are very complex and difficult.
The United Nations says the war in the Middle East is increasingly becoming a driver of global instability, with trade, energy and food instability all weighing in.
6 months into the military escalation in the Gulf, what began as a regional conflict is increasingly becoming a driver of global instability. Trade through the Strait of Hormuz has collapsed. Energy markets have been upended. Prices of food and key fertilizers have surged. Supply chains are buckling. Around the world, we see families struggling to put food on the table, farmers unable to afford basic inputs, and vulnerable countries pushed closer to the edge. The World Food Programme warns that as many as 45 million people could face acute food insecurity as a result. And rising prices and slowing growth threaten to push millions more back into poverty.
Tracy Furness, TVB News.
Iran's Persian Gulf Strait Authority announces passage through the Strait of Hormuz is not feasible at present because of continued aggressive strikes by US forces in the region. This as the Revolutionary Guard has claimed striking another 2 tanks in the strait, and Kuwait says its armed forces have shot down Iranian drones inside its airspace. On Friday, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt expressed the administration's frustration anew, blasting Tehran for breaking the ceasefire memorandum and shooting at commercial ships. She signaled US President Donald Trump is weighing launching new bombings on Iran soon. Reports from American media outlets say their joint strikes with Israel against Iranian energy infrastructure are expected to be the most intensive so far, and the operation could last through the weekend. Following strong resistance from various international football associations, FIFA's president Gianni Infantino is scrapping plans to sell World Cup profits to private equity. This comes after the international football community band together to object the privatization proposal, vowing to boycott the World Cup if the federation went ahead with the plan. In a latest statement from FIFA's president, Gianni Infantino, he states the division caused by the proposal to seek external investment are no longer in the interest of the objectives set out in the first place. The statement furthers he intends to bring all interested parties back together in the coming days and weeks in the spirit of shared interest in the game, with the objective to continue growing football everywhere, particularly in those countries that mostly need support from the federation. Infantino proposed creating a $20 billion company to run the World Cup with private investors, including the family of US President Donald Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. The announcement Tuesday drew criticism from the international football community, which opposed the investment plans and vowed to boycott the World Cup if it went ahead. Infantino's decision to halt investment plans comes a day after he said plans to explore the proposal will push forward, despite the unified reaction from the 55-member Union of European Football Associations, North America's CONCACAF, and the Asia Football Association. However, following the resignation of his senior advisor Carlos Cordero, who sat on board of the White House task force for the World Cup, and his urging of other senior FIFA staff to speak out, Infantino delivered the decision to retract plans for private investment. When asked on Friday at Camp David during a cabinet meeting, Trump said Infantino did not speak to him about the proposal to sell a stake in the World Cup. US Federal Reserve Chair Kevin Walsh raises the idea of reducing the number of Fed's regularly scheduled monetary policy meetings, according to a report by the New York Times. It would significantly cut back on the information the public would receive about the direction of interest rate policy and the Fed's interpretation of the state of inflation and the job market, and the economy more broadly. If adopted, it would break with nearly half a century of practice that sees the Fed meet 8 times a year. In the past, unscheduled meetings were also held, such as during COVID and the 2007 to 2009 global financial crisis, to address special circumstances. Chief Executive John Lee will host his first district consultation session on the 5-year plan in Truman on Sunday. On social media, Lee says the session will be conducted in small groups, allowing officials and residents to exchange views on the 5-year plan for economic and social development. The Chinese People's Liberation Army Hong Kong garrison is holding a reception to celebrate the 99th anniversary of the PLA's founding. Senior officials and representatives from different sectors attend the event at the Ngong Shen Chao Barracks Exhibition Center. Luna Bai has more.
More than 400 guests attended the reception, including Vice Chairman of the National Committee of the CPPCC, Leung Chun-ing, Chief Executive John Lee, representatives from central government offices in Hong Kong, senior military officials, as well as members of different sectors and representatives in Hong Kong. The reception kicks off with all guests standing for the playing and singing of the PLA military anthem. Political Commissar of the Hong Kong garrison, Lai Yu-sing, praises the garrison's contribution to safeguarding Hong Kong's peace, stability, and development, and encourages its officers and soldiers to further promote patriotism and national defense education. John Lee highlights the importance of military-civilian exchange, saying activities such as a recent visit of the Nanning Warship Formation allowed more than 30,000 Hong Kong residents to learn about the PLA Navy and strengthen their sense of national identity. The Hong Kong garrison go on to present a culture performance for the guests, showcase the commitment and dedication of these soldiers. The reception concludes with all guests saying "Ode to the Motherland" together. A special exhibition was also held on the second floor, showcasing military uniforms, weapons, and military food commonly used by the garrison, giving guests a closer look at the daily life and equipment of the forces.
From the simple equipment in the old days to very sophisticated equipment nowadays, that gives every one of us, citizens of the People's Republic of China, a sense of security. No matter whether we're here whether we're overseas, we know we have the country behind us.
Through exhibitions and activities, the event hopes to showcase the history and development of the PLA while promoting closer connection with the Hong Kong community. Linda Bai, TVB News.
With Hong Kong Sport for All Day set to kick off on Sunday, and in support of the Asian Games this September, the Leisure and Cultural Services Department opens a number of recreational and sports facilities to the public for free for 2 days. Joe Lee reports.
For the first time, the Leisure and Cultural Services Department invites the public to visit recreational and sports facilities for free for 2 consecutive days, beginning today. Facilities include swimming pools, badminton and basketball courts, fitness rooms, archery ranges, and more. Some facilities require advanced registration and lost drawing. One resident says he doesn't exercise much, but came swimming with his daughter today, adding he would come more often if it's free. Another resident says he is satisfied with a 2-day free access, but notes he wasn't able to get a slot for some of the facilities. Meanwhile, some residents say they didn't know about the free access and only just learned of sport for all day, suggesting the government should promote it more. Between 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. on Sunday, free sports and recreation programs, including fencing demonstrations and parent-children fitness games, will be held at designated venues across all 18 districts in the city.
The movement aims to encourage the public to stay healthy and incorporate exercise into their daily lives. Joe Lee, TVB News.
And that's the news. Thank you for watching.